to help them to develop their pronunciation, because actually is what they are going to say in an interaction. In real life interactions, they're going to face this kind of problem on which sometimes probably they are not going to understand if we are faulty in our pronunciation, so we need to practice a lot, really a lot.
Okay, Anna.
Yes, teacher. Also, the function of the language is really important for them to know what they want to express, right? If they want to say something that happened in the past, something that will happen in the future, so they can express their ideas in a better way.
Okay, thank you for your participation, teachers. Here we have some elements that we should focus on the language. Don't forget that any language is, as we saw before, is for communication, to express ideas, to express points of view. And there are 7 things, 7 points, 7 elements that we consider for this, for any language, not only for the English language, for any language. They are not in a specific order of importance, but all of them are really important in our classes. Let's ask now the teacher, Montserrat. Please, Montse, could you help me to read the 7 ones?
Yes, teacher. We have coherence, fluency, right lexics, right structure, oral production, written word, spelling, stress, intonation, and accent.
Thank you very much. Teacher Itzel, what is the right lexis? What does it mean, the right lexis? What does it refer? I think all of the rest are clear, but maybe some of you have a question about lexis. What do I mean with lexis? Teacher Itzel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, very clearly.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that is to respect the correct punctuation.
No, that is not lexis. Teacher Joan. What is lexis, Teacher Joan? Yes, Irina, in a moment you participate. Let's give the chance to the teacher Joan, and of course we hear you. Okay, we're still waiting for the teacher Joan. Well, what a shame that he is not in the training. Okay, Irina, please help us. What is lexis?
I think it's the amount of vocabulary you have.
Exactly. So lexis refers to all the new words or expressions that our students are learning. Thank you, Irina. Good job. Okay, so here we have 7 elements that teachers in general focus on their classes: coherency, fluency, right lexis, vocabulary, as Irina mentioned, the right structure. In this case, don't forget the right structure includes grammar, the oral work that our students have, or the written work, as you can see in number 7, for example, the spelling. When we make our students work on compositions, on writing sentences, we need to see how the words are spelled. And also in oral production, that includes the intonation or the accent, or if you want to call it also the pronunciation, those are elements. Now, let's have the next activity, teachers. I want you to take a picture or take a screenshot of these 7 elements, or if you have your notebook, write it on your notebook, because now we are going to work with an activity. The activity is going to be the next. Copy the instruction. Also, I think it's easier for you to have screenshots. And now we are going to be working in pairs. The instruction is to number these 7 elements in the order of importance. You will work with a partner. We will assign in a moment the rooms for all of you. And you will number from the most important to the less important. All of them are really important and useful in classes, but in your opinion and in your job as English teachers, which one you should pay more attention? And which one, the second question, which one or which ones you see more in your classes? being honest, you have to reflect on which ones you see more. Okay, let's have this activity in rooms. Okay, I can see here you are 22. The principal Victor Lozano is here, but he is not going to be participating in activity. Well, in case he wants to do it, he's invited. But in case you are with him, I'm going to let you know that. Okay, so then if you are 22 teachers, let's make trios. Let's make trios. It is better in that way. So we're going to break out the rooms to have 7. And probably there will be a small team with 4. Okay, you will have 3 minutes to discuss this activity. And now we are starting with this. At the end, we are going to stop the activity and you will share, some of you will share your answers. And in that moment, you will have to open your camera. Okay, move to the room.
Hi.
Hello, who said hi?
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Me.
Hey, what's up, bitches?
Hello.
Hey,
I guess we should start discussing this.
yes, Maria. What about you? Tell us.
Well,
But in fact,
first
I'm going to let you speak, okay? Please tell me.
yes, thank you. Well, first of all, I'm a new teacher, so I've been giving classes just not that long ago. But for me, the thing I believe is one of the most important when they are beginners, because I'm with new kids, it's the oral production. Because as teacher Mark was saying, they are very shy. They are very shy, sorry, in the beginning, because they think we are going to loud or something. I don't know, because their experience, or I'm not really sure about it. But I think it's for me, it will be the oral production, because they are going to start to speaking more and they are getting confidence.
So that is the first one for you.
Yes, that's for me, that's the number one. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's number one.
Yes, for me too.
Yes, I think the same. In example that you said, in kids, it's better when their first, how can I say it? How do you say acercamiento? Like
Approach.
close, yes.
No, approach.
Approach with the language is by speaking. And after, I think it could be the fluency, or because I think it have a relation with oral production.
For me, the second one is the right lexis, because in my opinion, when we have oral production with the student, it's necessary that they use the vocabulary that we have studied in that lesson. So if Lexis is talking about the vocabulary, it's necessary to use it. And in a conversation, it's important to use it according to learn it.
I agree with teacher Yolanda, because sometimes what happens in school about any other thing is like you give the students, I don't know, subjects, you give them a lot of things, but since they don't use it, they forget about it. So for me, it's better when they start using the things they already learned in the class.
And I think if they don't have enough vocabulary, they don't have anything to say.
We have 1 minute, teachers.
Oh, Right lexis. For me, right structure. Next one.
I will say the number one, or I will.
Coherence? Coherence? Sorry.
No,
Yes.
I think production, right lexis. What is the next one? When they are talking, when they are speaking, we need to check the structure and to make some correction according with that. So I think it's right structure.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Because if they don't use it, they won't say the right thing and it will be confused.
Yes.
Yes.
Remember, if they don't learn the correct structure speaking, they can do it when they are writing.
Yes, that's completely true. I'll write it here as fast as I can. I'll write it, keep talking because I write what we already said.
Yes, I am grading too.
Ah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Me too.
I thought we
And
were
number
getting trouble.
4, what do you think number 4? Coherence. Excuse me, the
Coherence.
first one.
Coherence.
Coherence.
Sorry.
Coherence, thank you.
Well-
I
Coherence,
would say
I
that.
think is number 4.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I
I agree.
could say that I also agree
Yeah.
with you, dear teachers. As I was hearing, I think the speaking is the very first one since we, as babies, no, when we were growing up, we learned first how to speak, and then we learned the structures, right? So that is the right order. So I fully agree with you, teachers. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, teacher. Number 5.
I don't know you, but for me, written word will be the last one because as teacher Carlos just said it in a few seconds ago, when we are babies, we first learn how to speak. We learn words, we learn structure, and one of the last things we learn is to write.
Yes.
We have 55
Number
seconds.
5,
Okay.
5 is fluency.
Fluency. Yes, I think.
Number 6.
Will be stress.
Yes, yes, I
Yes.
think we agree.
Yes.
Okay.
And the last one is writing word, right?
For me,
Okay.
it is that. I don't know about you.
Yes, for me
Yes,
too.
I agree. So it's
Yes, so
5
the last one.
is oral production, right lexis, right structure, coherence, fluency, stress, and graded work. Yes?
Yes, for me
Yes.
too, yes.
Okay.
Well,
Then
bye.
just go out, right? Bye.
Bye.
We think that right lexis is the most important. Then oral production, coherent, fluency, stress, right structure, and finally spelling.
Okay. Any other group, any other teacher who would like to share the agreement you have
Okay.
with all of
teacher,
these
can I?
elements? Yes, Jose.
In the first place, fluency. Second place, coherence. The next one, right lexis. Next one, oral production. Next one, written work. And the final one, stress.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Finally, the teacher Laura wants to participate. If you would like to share your answers here.
Yes, teacher. Okay, we agree that oral production is the most important, then coherence, then the right lexis, right structure, fluency, stress, and finally written word.
Okay, that's right. Thank you. Just the pronunciation, coherence. That's the pronunciation of the word. I could notice that most of you agree on elements that are based on oral practice, which is good. And being humble also, it's important to accept which elements we are focusing more on our classes. Remember that if we are called Conversa, we need to make our students especially work with conversation, which involves all the oral production and the corresponding elements. Good job, teachers. Good job. Thank you. Now, what kind of oral activities do you use in classes? Let's see here the different kind of oral activities or the options in oral activities that we might have in our job as English teachers. Teacher Allison, could you help me to read these 6 activities, different activities in oral production?
Yes, teacher. Okay, it says, what kind of oral activities do you use in class? Number 1, question answer. Number 2, day-to-day conversation. Number 3, conversational club. Number 4, debate. Number 5, exposition. And number 6, storytelling.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you. Now, I'm going to ask the teacher, Luis Catalan, for which one you don't know, which one you are not familiar with. I think all of them are activities that normally you use in your classes, but tell me which one you don't know. Do you know all of them?
Yes, I think. Yeah,
okay.
I think that I know.
Then my question is, what is storytelling?
So storytelling, I think, is when the students talking about maybe the real life, for example, the real experience, last vacations or something like that. So using the previous topic, for example, if we say simple past, so maybe they have to talk about, but using the simple past, I think.
Okay, yeah. Well, as the name says, storytelling is based on stories. Sometimes they can be tales. They cannot be real. They can be fictional, or even they can be part of experiences students are living in their real lives. For example, as you mentioned, last vacation or plans they have, for example, in the future. Thank you, Luis. Teacher Carlos, what is the difference between day-to-day conversation and a conversational club?
Well, I would say that a day-to-day conversation is a real life situation in a daily basis. And a conversational club is in which students gather in a little meeting and they expose their ideas according to the topic the teacher assigned. It might be about a movie, something students are interested in.
Okay, you are right with your answers. The difference, teachers, between day-to-day conversation, and I'm sure that you have applied in your classes, is when you make very informal questions to your students about certain topics. Even, for example, when you ask them about the morning, if you are having your students in the afternoon, in the evening, you ask them about activities they did in the morning. You have conversation about topics in their jobs or in their schools. Then a conversational club, as the teacher Carlos mentioned, is something that you previously prepared with a specific purpose, with a specific topic. For example, pollution in Mexico, or for example, abortion in a specific country. Thank you very much. Who can tell me from these 6 or from all of the list that you can see here of oral activities, which one is missing? One activity that is missing.
Role play, conversation.
Yes, you are right. It is missing role play. And actually, that is going to be something that we are going to be working today in this workshop, in this training. Here I have 2 definitions of role plays. I think you already know what a role play is because it is the base of our language, of our teaching here, especially at Conversa. But we have here 2 definitions of role plays that I want you to help me to read. Please, Teacher Monse. No, Teacher Marlene, please. Teacher Marlene, can you help me to read both definitions?
Sure, teacher. Hello, by the way.
Hi.
Okay. What is role play? Definition 1, role play is any speaking activity when you either put yourself into somebody else's shoes or when you stay in your own shoes but put yourself into an imaginary situation. Definition 2, a role play is a creative situation in which students deliberately act out or assume characters or identities they would not normally assume.
Okay, thank you very much. So conclusion, what is a role play? It's an imaginary situation. The students take the role of some specific characters that you previously prepared. Here in the pictures, for example, you can see professions. And I have seen in some of your classes or some of the videos even that you have prepared with your students that you make them think of some specific situations they are living in the classroom, but they are not real. Let's have this activity. Now, it says, again, we're going to be working in teams, in small teams. We are going to watch a video. Again, I want you to help me here. Take a screenshot or a picture if you prefer, or write down in your notebook the 7 techniques that you will watch in the next video. The video that you're going to watch belongs to one school. I consider when I was searching for material for this training, I was looking for material that was really useful, and I consider that we can copy many things from videos that we are watching from the net. Then what I want you to do is to think and to identify these 6 techniques the teacher is using in the class. Vocabulary, the situation, the characters, the material, the role of the students, and the role of the teachers. You will write down the details that you find. The video is 5 minutes. It's not too long. And I'll play it right now. Can you confirm if you can watch? Let's go to the room. Even Victor, would you like to participate? So Professor Victor is going to be working also, depending the rooms I assigned. Let me now open 5 rooms. Okay, now you are in the rooms and we'll have only 3 minutes to discuss your answers. 3 minutes. Go to your rooms, please.
Good afternoon.
Teacher, hi, what's up?
Hi, teacher.
Hi. Hello, guys. How are you?
Good, teacher. What about you?
Well, been better. Okay, so, well,
who would like to start? May I
by all
say?
means.
Yes,
What
teacher,
about the
go
teacher,
ahead.
Maria Monse? What about the teacher Monse? Would you like to? Tell us, please. For example,
Well,
I'm going. Yes, then.
No, continue, teacher, please.
So please,
No, go
teacher,
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure. Okay, the vocabulary was about bargain, something like that.
Was bargain. You're right.
Okay, the situation, well, it was a real bargain because there was food, prices. Okay, the character was shoppers
characters were,
and shop workers. Shop workers, well, the material, real material. The role of the students, well, they first were shoppers and then shopkeepers. And I think the teacher just was monitoring.
and correcting.
Okay, well, that is what I think.
When in fact, since you took all, you answered all of the, because we were supposed to give only one, but I fully agree with you, teacher. No, it was okay. Thank you so much. It means that you pay lots of attention.
Okay, so The next one, situation. What was the situation then?
Well, like the teacher
So,
mentioned,
with
it was some people
nagging, yes.
bargaining and asking for lower prices, right? Asking for lower
Yeah.
prices and I guess is it. The teacher
Yeah,
says,
actually,
please.
we need to say that there are going to be some differences. Remember that bargain can be for big things, but when you nag, for instance, like this, it's like in the market on small places. So I believe that we're more like nagging, but well, yeah, bargaining, it could be a very nice thing. So the situation was like these people with, having some bargains in a marketplace, right?
At a marketplace, yes.
Okay, the characters. So it was like a merchant and the customers, right?
Yeah. Yes, teacher. It's true.
Sorry, it's because I'm taking notes. Okay, so the merchant and the customers. Okay, materials.
It was really, right?
Exactly.
What about the role of the students? Why do you help us with that one, teacher Catalan?
So the role of the students, so they say the activities.
No, what were the roles?
The customers. They say the customer says.
Customers. And the sales, right? The sales people.
Yeah, the customers and sales.
Yeah, there were some merchants over there. Yes.
And the role of the teacher, just to finish this down, it was teacher Monse. What would you say?
Well, in role at the beginning, they were one character, and at the end they changed to the opposite situation. First they were customers, and then were shopkeepers. That was important because they changed roles.
All right. I guess this is it. We can leave the room, right? Ready?
Yeah. Actually, I have all of this. Okay.
All right. So let's leave it, right?
Yes,
Okay,
teacher.
Okay.
Yes, teacher.
We are waiting for the other teachers and then we discuss your answers.
Yes, teacher.
Remember that it was to identify the details of the 7 techniques. The role play was very complete and it can help us to have some ideas. Okay, let's start with the technique number 1, vocabulary. Please, let's begin with the teacher Yolanda. Yolanda, please, can you share your answer? Which detail or details you saw in vocabulary activity? Yolanda? Well, the teacher Alison wants to participate. Alison, please.
Yes, teacher. I could see that the vocabulary were the questions at the beginning because the teacher showed the questions the students will use
Excellent.
in the conversation.
Exactly. It means the teacher was giving the tools students will need to perform the corresponding role play. But in vocabulary, teachers, to go faster, what the teacher Alison mentioned was correct. But there is a technique the teacher used that is called elicitation. Probably you haven't heard about this word, but I'm going to explain you what elicitation means. You remember when the teacher made a question? The teacher made a question. How do you say when someone is trying to convince another person to lower the price of a product? And then there was the answer from one of the students. The student answered that it is bargain or bargaining. So this is elicitation, when the teacher is guiding for the words that students will probably need. That is the technique that the teacher used in elicitation. And of course, repetition. And at the same time, students were repeating, they were practicing with pronunciation. The second one, teacher Frank. The second one is situation, the situation. What happened here with the situation? What can you tell us about the situation?
Okay, I think the situation is when the teacher create the atmosphere according with the elements that they have in role play.
Okay, and which elements did you see?
Yes, exactly.
Which elements? Which elements did you see?
Fruits, money, cost, advices.
Okay, that's right. You are very right, but I hope that you have paid attention. Let me write down here. This is very important because this is the way you can succeed in your activities. Check. Let me write down here what the teacher was doing. And I hope that you paid attention on that. The teacher was talking about authentic task. What does it mean, Michelle? Authentic task.
Giving them maybe like in a specific situation so they can imagine it and realize it.
Wendy, you want to participate? What is an authentic task? Michelle is right. You are right, Michelle. But authentic task mean? Try to be more specific on this.
That is a real situation or a common daily activity we have.
Excellent, excellent. And what Michelle was mentioning, something specific. There were 3 important specific situations the teacher was using. The first one, a marketplace. What did the students do in the marketplace?
They were bargaining.
First, they were shopping. They were buying. Selling and buying. That is shopping. And then, very good. Very good, Wendy. They were bargaining. Pay attention again with the situation. The situation first, the scenario is the marketplace. The situation is selling and buying, which is shopping. And finally, the specific task, bargaining. That's a real situation that is focused on something very clear. And very, very clear. So I want you to consider these elements. Let me delete. Give me a second. And I will continue sharing the next activity. Now, let's talk about the characters. Please, teacher Joan, what can you tell me about the characters?
Yes, hello, teacher. The teacher explained them how they can sell the products, and then the students start having a conversation, asking the prices, and I think that's all. Yes, this one is going to be the characters.
Excellent, Joan. The teacher was giving the instructions. The teacher was telling the students which character they have to take. There were two characters. Very good, great. Now, talking about the material, teacher Monse, what can you tell us about the material?
Oh, it was real material.
Great. Something that we call realia with real objects, the real objects she used. And for example, what kind of real objects the teacher used?
Well, I saw meat, fruits, scarves. I'm not sure. It was like a cloth.
Okay, so in general, products people can find in a market.
Yes.
And apart from the products, what else the teacher used? Alison, yes?
Okay.
Fake money.
Exactly. Bills, fake money.
And the
What else?
prices.
And the prices. Excellent. Good job. Very good job, teachers. Pay attention. All of these elements were helping the students to succeed in the activity. It was not only to give the instruction, but also to help the students to succeed in the activity, to guide them. Finally, number 5 and number 6, what are the roles of the students? And when I mean the role of the students, I don't mean exactly if they were the shoppers or if they were in a certain activity or in a certain role in the situation. For example, if they were the doctor and the patient, or the waiter and the customer. I don't mean that. I mean the role of the teacher. What were the students doing during the activity? What was the teacher doing during the activity? Wendy?
The role of the teacher was like kind of guide that that was giving the instructions to the students about how to manage the situation in the market.
Okay, actually, what was the position? What was the location of the teacher in the activity? Where was the teacher?
She was next to the students. Well,
exactly, right. She was behind, next to the students, trying to guide and trying to help. Another role of the teacher. Carlos.
Well, she was giving extra vocabulary for students to speak. She was correcting. Well, no, instead of correcting, she was providing more vocabulary, and she was monitoring.
She was helping. Very good.
Yes.
She was helping. She was guiding. She was helping. One more thing that the teacher was doing meanwhile the students were doing the activity. No? Okay. The teacher was motivating. She was motivating. She was, as the teacher Wendy mentioned before, she was behind. She was very close to the students, trying to help, and the students didn't feel alone. They didn't feel alone. The role of the students, of course, was paying attention on the teacher's instructions. The teacher was giving instructions, and since the teacher was close to them, it was easy for the students to take the role of what they were performing, what they were pretending in the activity. Good job, teachers. I think the activity is very useful. This video is very useful to have a model of how a good role play should be done, because sometimes we have the misunderstanding that the role play needs to be difficult, but even that role play can be applied for basic students. Now, we have this information. Why to use role plays? According to Conversa's method, and I hope you remember every paragraph of the method, in the first paragraph, we can read, we can have that students learn more when they are actively and positively involved in the learning process, or in other words, The students learn by doing. It's not just that we teach them grammar or vocabulary, but it's to put in practice that grammar or to put that vocabulary in practice, but in a situation. We need to advocate the use of the role plays for the following reasons. We recommend the use of the role plays for the following reasons. It's fun and motivating, number one. Number two, especially those passive students, quieter students, get the chance to express themselves in a more direct way, especially the ones who are passive, they are quiet, they are shy. And number three, the world of the classroom is expanded to include outside world. What I mean is not only what the students are living inside the classroom, but also if you take situations that are from the real world, you take them into the class, they are experiencing real life situations. That's important characteristic in our method. And don't forget, if students make mistakes, it is completely normal. It's part of the learning process. What's the role of the teacher when the students are making mistakes? Is to make the corrections, as Carlos mentioned before, just in case they are making mistakes. That's why you have to be always close to your students. Here you can find some general benefits of using role plays in classes. There are many. In fact, we have already mentioned some of them, but I would like to focus especially, for example, on this one. The one that says promotes lifelong learning. When students do the activity, and in that activity, they use a specific vocabulary or a specific grammar, the information keeps in their mind for a longer time. So it's better than just having them repeat and repeat grammar structures or just by giving examples after making a question, because they are living the situation. That's important. Another important reason is, for example, this one, the next one that says facilitates expressions of attitudes and feelings. Something that we should also teach our students is to live the situation, to be in the character's shoes. And for example, if they are performing a situation in which a mother is calling the attention of her son, the mother really needs to take the role and the feelings of an angry person. Or for example, the patient who is visiting to the doctor and is receiving bad news, then the patient also takes the role of worry. As of course, if the patient is receiving bad news because he has a sickness, he needs to express that emotion. That gives the opportunity of role playing. There are many benefits of using role plays. What's the role of the teacher during the preparation of a role play? You already mentioned all of this. The teacher is a guide, the teacher is an example, a facilitator, a corrector, a motivator. And I'd like to mention more about letter F. Is the teacher an spectator or is the teacher a participant when the students are performing their role plays? Well, both have advantages. Both are useful. If the teacher is just a spectator and let the students perform the activity, he doesn't take part of that situation, of that role play. It's good because in that moment, the teacher focuses on making or writing down the corrections in vocabulary, grammar, or different points that needs to be corrected in the role play. And at the end, the teacher makes the corresponding feedback to give what the students need to improve. But if the teacher is also a participant, if the teacher is taking one of the roles in the activity, it also helps the students to have a guide, to have someone who gives them the right direction they need to follow when they are in front. Remember that students get nervous when they pass to the front, and it's very difficult for them, especially when they are performing a role play that is improvised. That's why it is also recommendable to give them some minutes before they pass to the front so that they rehearse the dialogues and they can do it well in front. So if the teacher is a spectator or the teacher is a participant during the role play, both are possible. What aspects of the language are developed in role plays? You have already mentioned something about this information. That's grammar, in case you review grammar, they have already learned, or when you are including new grammar, that includes different points like tenses, present, past, or future, or use of different elements in the language, like prepositions, conjunctions, auxiliaries, modals, adverbs, or adjectives. Or when you just want to make your students communicate the idea, even though they have mistakes in the grammar. And it includes the lexis. We agree lexis is the vocabulary or expressions that students use. The phonology, that includes the pronunciation, stress, or accent they use, and the corresponding skills. We have them to practice with the next. It helps them to practice to build up vocabulary, to improve fluency, to structure better the ideas. Sometimes students need that practice to structure what they are expressing, what they are saying, and of course, to be able to communicate an idea. Something that you have mentioned since the beginning is to make students gain self-confidence, to make students understand that they can do it. How to plan a role play? Okay, as we mentioned before, you need a situation. Based on the situation is what you need to give the instructions, what you need to consider to give the instructions. But sometimes we get lost in all of the ideas that we would like to give our students, and at the end we are not clear with the right instruction we want them to do. That's why, number one, you need to think of the situation you would like to have with your students. Then, based on that, you need to think of all the possibilities that general situation can take us to give to our students. What do I mean with this? Let's have this example. Let's imagine that you would like to make your students perform a role play at the doctor's. Well, it could be very general, and it is not really specific, and at the end, students don't do what you want them to do. That's why you have to think of the possibilities of mini situations and then focus on that mini situation to give the right instruction. For example, at the reception desk, try to imagine the conversation, the dialogues, the questions that the patient and the receptionist make at the reception desk. Number two, seeing the doctor. The same. Try to think of all the possible dialogues the patient is holding with the doctor. Number three, being examined. Try to think all the possible answers the doctor can give to the patient for some questions or some doubts he can have. And finally, number four, treatment and advice. How should the treatment or the advice the doctor gives to the patient should be according to the ill or the sickness the patient has? Do you understand what I mean when you have to think of a mini situation and choose what you want to make your students do? It's not just to tell your students, today we're going to perform something at the doctor's office, but it is to be specific of what you want them to do. Let's have these examples. Remember, situation number one is at the reception desk. What are the possibilities of vocabulary or questions our students can use? Here, teacher Laura, can you help me to read all the possibilities that our students can include in their dialogues when they are at the reception desk? These are only some. You can find more, but help me to read this. What the patient says and what the receptionist also says.
Okay, the patient, I want to see the doctor. Receptionist, do you have an appointment? Patient, yes, I have an appointment at 3 o'clock. Now I would like to make an appointment to see the doctor. Brown, do you have private medical insurance? Is it urgent? Please take a seat. The doctor is ready to see you now.
Thank you. Now let's think of the second possibility. Please, teacher. Let me ask now the teacher, Carla. Okay, Alison, because I think the teacher Carla is not in the room.
Seeing the doctor. Doctor, how can I help you? What's the problem? What's wrong? Patient, I have temperature, sore throat, headache, I have a pain in my back, chest, shoulder. I am asthmatic, diabetic, epileptic, hypertensive. I am in a lot of pain. I have been feeling sick. I have diarrhea. I got a lump, swollen, or what's the pronunciation?
Swollen.
Swollen ankle, leg. I need another inhaler.
Inhaler.
I need another inhaler, some more insulin, some medicine. Doctor, how long have you been feeling like this? Are you on any kind of medication? Do you have any allergies? Patient, I am allergic to antibiotics. I need a sick note.
Thank you. Now, next situation is number 3. Being examined. Here, please, the teacher itself. Can you help us?
Yes. Doctor, can I have a look? Let me see. Where does it hurt? Does it hurt when I press here? I'm going to take your blood pressure, temperature, pulse. Could you roll up your sleeve? Your blood pressure is quite low, normal, high, very high. Your temperature is normal, and your height, very high. Open your mouth, please. Cough, please. Take a deep breath.
Thank you. Number 4. Okay, please. Here we ask the help to Yolanda. Please, teacher Yolanda. We don't listen to you. Teacher Maria Jose, please.
Okay. For treatment and advice. Doctor, you need a few stitches. I'm going to give you an injection. Your leg, arm, etc. It's broken. We need to put it in a plaster. We need to make an urinate sample, a blood sample. You need to have a blood test. I'm going to prescribe you some antibiotics, a syrup for your coat, a cream for your rash, scratch, burn, etc. Take 2 of these pills 3 times a day. Take this prescription to the chemist. You should stop smoking, cut down on your drinking, take a rest, lose some weight, etc. I want to send you for an X-ray. I want you to see a specialist.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, teachers. Okay, these are only some possibilities. What I want you to understand is the next. As you're watching the video, the teacher was giving the guide of vocabulary and also expressions. so that the students could succeed. So how to plan a role play means, number one, to think of a general situation, what you want your students to perform. Number two, to think of the possibilities based on that general situation, and you will choose only one. You are more direct, you are more specific. Number three, you give them the corresponding vocabulary or expressions so that your students can succeed. Because what about if your students don't know anything about sicknesses? Here, for example, you can read about a person who is asthmatic, or a person who is diabetic, or someone who is epileptic, etc., etc. If you don't teach vocabulary to your students will never perform the correct way you want them to do as you watch in the video. So don't forget, you need to have, or you need to give specific instructions. Now, what is the next activity? Again, we are going to work in small teams, but pay attention. Here you have three general situations, the ones that you can see in red: traveling, working, and shopping. You will choose the one that you prefer, and you will think of 4 possible mini situations based on these general situations. So the instruction is to choose the one that you prefer and think of some possibilities in the options. Let's try to do it again in Teams. Give me a second. And I'll break out the rooms. Okay, now let's have 6 rooms to see how many people are included. Okay.
Hello, teacher Gwendolyn.
Hello, teacher. Nice to greet you again.
Nice to see you, teacher. I think that we all.
Excuse me?
Are we all?
I think so.
All right. Well, I was thinking about about the situations the teacher Katia is joining in. Well, about the situations, and in my case, as for me, I chose traveling, and I think, well, you allow me, and there are many role plays we can add in this kind of situation. For example, number 1, at the hotel, no, checking in. That can be one situation, giving the roles of a customer and a receptionist and a bellboy, no, that might be one. Another one might be at the airport, also checking in your luggage. And
give the others the opportunity to participate, Carlos.
Yes. And what about you? What about the other teachers? Yes, please.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, because there are many kind of activities they can make, as we were saying since the beginning, at the check-in or the moment in the airport with the bellboy, the trip. I don't know if it is correct to say trip, or the journey they make from the airport to the hotel.
I think that's commuting. Or commuting, I think so.
I don't remember. I think there is another word to refer to this, but I don't remember in this moment. But well, I mean the journey they make since the airport to the hotel, and when the driver, the person is driving the car, is showing the guests what they can see in that place.
What about you, teacher? Katia? We were talking about the situations in a from traveling. For example, we chose traveling. We have already mentioned some mini situations. Which one do you have on your mind? Which one do you have in mind?
Okay. No, I agree in the case of traveling because as you say, there are many situations that we also can use there. Signs or no signs. For example, the person arrives to the airport until this person arrives to the hotel. So yes, there are many situations that we can use there.
We have two, but there are missing two more. Two more. Which one?
When the bellboy is
we have two,
sorry.
no? At the airport, at the hotel, there are two missing.
When the bellboy is showing the room to the
But this is at the hotel. That is one. Everything is about the hotel. The second is at the airport, right? That's another one. Another. There are missing two.
When
maybe
sorry.
Excuse me?
Yes, I think on the same.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you say?
To ask for a tour.
Yes, asking for a tour. Yes, of course. So we have three.
Well, I didn't say asking for a tour. I said asking for the room service.
But isn't that the same the hotel? Booking a hotel?
No, because that is an extra thing that you can do when you are in your room. When you are already in your room, I mean.
Yes, but that is inside the hotel. So yes, we have three. One is missing.
Couldn't it be making a reservation? No.
I think it's still in the hotel.
Maybe if the person wants to eat in a restaurant.
I agree. At the restaurant, right? So you are hungry, you go to a restaurant and you eat there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very well. So you ready, teachers?
I think.
Yeah.
So which ones are the situations? We have 30 seconds. 30 seconds. We have already said at the hotel, at the airport, asking for a tour, and the fourth. What do you say, teacher Katia?
At a restaurant.
At a restaurant. That's it. So let's go.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, teacher, how was it? Do you have your mini situations? Let's have only one teacher from the groups giving us ideas for the situation. I noticed that most of you chose traveling. Most of you, you like to travel, or you would like to travel. Okay, then who chose working? Who
We
chose
do.
working, teachers?
Actually, we did, teacher.
Jose, would you like to share your mini situations? It's only the general situation working, and tell me 4 mini situations that you agree.
Actually, we agreed on a job interview.
Okay, job interview.
Exactly. We agreed also on meeting.
Okay, meeting.
Yes. Okay, also a one-to-one meeting on which a boss is speaking to his employee.
Okay, one-to-one meeting.
And results.
Results in a job. Okay,
exactly.
Good, excellent. What about shopping? Who chose shopping? Girls, you didn't choose shopping? You don't like to go shopping? No? No one
money,
chose?
teacher.
Nobody, no money? Okay. Well, you can go shopping to the flea market. No? Okay, then I saw most of you chose traveling. Then let's ask the teacher, Michelle, what you discuss about traveling? The situations, the mini situations?
Our mini situations were checking in, arriving late, losing your flight, and maybe landing.
Good job. Good job. Thank you. Now, we have one more activity. You already discussed the general situation, choosing the general situation, traveling, working, or shopping, and then 4 possibilities of mini situations. But now what happens with the vocabulary or expressions you need? Let's do it together here. Let's do it in group. All of us together to go faster. Here, I'll need your participation again. Here we have the opportunity to write down here. Okay, you like traveling, so we are going to choose traveling. The general situation. We're going to choose only one mini situation about traveling you like checking. Now let's think of some possibilities of vocabulary or expressions. Please, teachers, can you help me here? I gave you the opportunity in the tool of Zoom to write down. Can you help me to see if you can write down here? And you write down. Carlos, can you try?
Let's check, let's see.
Please. I gave you the remote control. Can you write?
But I can use my own tools to write.
Please, but no. Can we show it? Can you show it here in this the same whiteboard? Ah, perfect. Now you are here. So if Carlos can do it, I think everybody can do it. So feel free to participate. It could be vocabulary or it could be any expression in checking, only in checking. Who can start, teachers? We are short of time, so we need to hurry.
Passport.
Write it, please. Write it. Carlos already wrote, so I think
Sorry,
you can write.
should we write it on the chat? Because I can write here on the board.
No, here on the whiteboard. Here on the whiteboard.
I can do it, sorry.
No?
No.
Okay, then
yes,
Carlos, can you be the secretary?
Yes, of course. Check.
I saw it, thank you.
Please tell me now.
Okay.
Ah, you can? Okay, great.
Perfect. Suitcase. One more. Teachers, continue, please. Help us to do it faster. Write it, please. The teacher, Maria Jose, wrote suitcase, check out, another, or expression. Remember, it could be expression or a complete question, and as we saw in the previous examples. Only two, suitcase and check out, that's it?
It could be book, flying.
Write it, please, Yolanda, please, can you write it?
Luggage.
Can you write it, please, on the whiteboard?
I can write, teacher.
Okay, Joanne wrote passport. Yes, teachers, you can write. You can write, you have the option to write, to participate here in the whiteboard. The teacher Joanne only wrote passport. Jose, you wrote fair, excellent, fair. One more. To book as a verb, to reserve. Well, in check-in, I don't think to book could be a possibility. What do you think, teachers? We remember that we are in check-in. Check-in is when you are taking your luggage. That is another vocabulary, luggage. When you are taking your luggage into the front desk, and then they are taking that to the plane. Marlene, I've got a reservation in check-in, but in check-in, well, in check-in of a hotel, right? That's something that probably we need to clarify. In hotel. Check-in in hotel. Or in a flight. Because if you are mentioning getting a boarding pass, then that is in a flight. But if you are, for example, talking about bellboy or I've got a reservation that is in a hotel, then you need only to clarify if it is check-in in a hotel or check-in in a flight. Okay, teachers. Okay, now you are participating more. You have your ideas here. Excellent. So that's it. Thank you very much for your participation. What I mean with this is you have to decide on your general situation, then you have to go to the mini situation, a specific mini situation, and finally you need to go to the vocabulary or expressions that you will be using with your students. Any question here?
No, teacher.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to clean this information and close this one. Good job. Now, here we have some information, important information. What's the correct process in the preparation of role plays? You have already practiced with what you told me, and you follow these steps by thinking of the situation, thinking of the specific situation, and thinking of the vocabulary that you will use with your students. But that's not everything. There are more things that you have to consider in the correct process in the preparation of your role plays, especially teachers. When you are preparing a complete role play in which your students even will have extra time to prepare it. Why? We need to see the difference, understand the difference between the improvisation and the preparation. The improvisation, what I mean, when you, at the moment of your class, you give your students only 5 minutes to prepare the dialogues. But preparation is when you tell them that there will be a final project by the end of the book, and then you give them days or even weeks to prepare the role plays. You see the difference? One is improvisation. It's okay. Most of us have practiced role plays of improvisation and with enough preparation time. When you give them days or even weeks and you tell them the topic and students join as a group of students in a group, and then they prepare the corresponding information. And normally they include costumes, I mean the outfit that they will use, or extra objects, like you mentioned before, realia, or any material, extra material that they will need for the role play. Okay, let's read number 1. Please, teacher Frank, can you read number 1 in the process of preparation of role plays?
Okay, what's the correct process in the preparation of role plays? Clarify your teaching purpose or learning goals for the role play.
Okay, very good. Number one is your purpose, your objectives. Why you want to have that specific role play? What do you have in mind? Number one. Number two, Monse.
Design the role play scenario or planning.
Planning. Uh-huh.
Planning.
Uh-huh. Design the role play, the scenario or the planning. Important for teachers to have the right instructions. Number three, Carlos.
Identify resources, if any, for each role.
Good job. And remember, here in the resources includes the material. Number four, Elvira.
Sorry, it's because I can see. Number four is develop a plan of assessment.
Sometimes we forget what happens with evaluations. That is the assessment. What happens with evaluations, especially, as I mentioned, for those final projects we want to make our students present to pass from one book through another book. And this plan of assessment should include not only the aspects of the language like grammar, like the lexis, like the pronunciation, but also should include the communication or coherency of ideas. Consider that in your plan of assessment. Next one, please, teacher Michelle.
Create and distribute an assessment handout if necessary.
Exactly. Is it possible to give our students cards, flashcards, or probably index cards, pieces of paper in which they include the vocabulary that they will need? Do you think it is a good idea to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, it is possible. We try to avoid students write and read the dialogues when they pass to the front. However, when they are in the process of preparation, it is a good idea to give them a guide. If you prepare some situations, even the vocabulary is on the specific pieces of paper that you give your students. So don't forget, it is possible to consider that element. Next one, teacher Katia. I hope you are here with us.
Yes, teacher. It's provide students time to plan, practice, and enact the role play.
Okay, what is enact is to act out. In other words, to rehearse. As I told you, improvisation sometimes could be good. That's possible if you tell your students you have only 2 minutes, or at the moment that you give the instruction, immediately you pass to the students to the front, but also give them time. Yeah, if you give them 5-8 minutes to prepare the corresponding dialogues, to prepare the corresponding information, or even if you give them 1 week to prepare everything they will need, even to rehearse. Why? Because it's a final project, and even you would like to invite parents to see what the students are doing. Thank you, Katia. Laura, please, could you read the next one?
Yes, teacher. Pass them to the front and give them confidence.
It is impossible to have role plays on the seats. It's impossible. Then always remember the use of the role plays has one of the purposes of giving self-esteem, self-confidence, especially for those shy students. Then pass them to the front. Okay, next one, please, teacher Marlene.
Make a student switch up the roles.
In this role play, you have the conversation between a doctor and a patient. Allison, you are the doctor. Itzel, you are the patient. Let's practice again the conversation, but now let's change roles. Itzel, you are the doctor, and Allison, you are the patient, or vice versa. Next one, and finally, please, teacher Joan.
Okay, it's reflect you on the role play activity and evaluate its effectiveness.
Good job. So finally, this is what you have to consider as an English teacher. Was it effective? Was it useful? Did my students really practice? Or I just make my students practice with a role play because it was coming in the lesson plan, or because it is part of the methodology, the methodology we use here at Conversa. So reflect if every role play you are applying in your classes has an advantage and a benefit for your students. That is up to you. Now we're going to watch one more video that will help you some information about what I'm telling you. Can you tell me if you can see the video?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Helping students.
Can you listen?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Feel
Yes, we
empathy and compassion is valuable in many disciplines. But learning to understand the thoughts and feelings of others takes practice. Here's an activity to help. A role play is a created situation in which students deliberately act out or assume characters or identities that they wouldn't normally assume in order to accomplish learning goals. Here's how it works. Start with designing a scenario that requires interaction from stakeholders with multiple perspectives. Craft the basic storyline, initiating action through a critical event that students must respond to. Instruct students to form groups with enough members to assume each role. Assign specific parts or ask students to determine their own within each group. Present the scenario to your class and allow time for questions before students start role-playing. You can choose to let each scenario end naturally or set a time limit. Wrap up the project with a class discussion. Determine an appropriate evaluation rubric and decide who will be involved in the assessment. Detailed instructions and a sample assessment rubric are available in our free downloads. Use the rubric to assess the performed role plays. Then add up the individual scores on each rubric trait and determine a class average. Those results can serve as the basis for reporting course level learning outcomes to a variety of stakeholders. Role-playing is an engaging way for students to learn by doing, as it asks them to actively apply course concepts and understanding to embody a different perspective. Over the years, I've seen students develop greater empathy and understanding for others after experiencing a new point of view. Role plays promote significant learning in the human dimension domain of the taxonomy of significant learning because they require students to reflect upon the relationships and interactions they have with others. Here at the K. Patricia Cross Academy, we encourage you to consider role play in your class. Download our free support materials and step-by-step instructions to get started.
Okay, teachers, I think it expresses an important summary of the importance use of role plays. Learning by doing, it's something that you have to keep on your mind. Your students will learn more when they do the things. It's not just by explaining, but having your students perform an activity. We are close to finish our training, but I have some more information. We are closed. And look at all of these general situations. I have seen that most of the time, and even I noticed in this training, that most of the time you are married with only one situation that you take into your classroom. It's very common to see, for example, situations at the restaurant or at the airport, and that's it. But there are some other situations that you might consider. Think of all of these, think of all of them, and try to evaluate yourself as an English teacher. Be honest with yourself. Consider which ones you have never used in your classes, you have never tried, and copy them. Use them in your classes. These are general situations. Then you have to think of many situations. And this is going to be your homework, teachers. From this list, please take a screenshot The instruction is to choose only 5 situations. Work with a group of teachers in your school and find out all possible mini situations related to your 5 choices. Here you have many possibilities. Conclusions. Let's read the next conclusions. Please, teacher Michelle, can you help me to read the first and the second?
Yes, teacher. Conclusions. Role plays are fun. Fun makes for excellent language practice. 2. Role plays allow students to express who they are, express their sense of humor, and show off their communication style. That's fun too.
Thank you. Conclusions number 3 and number 4, Marlene. Laura, please, can you help us?
Yes, teacher. By simulating reality, they allow students to use language for a communicative purpose. This is in turn contributes to a student's confidence in their ability to use English. 4. They help prepare students for real-life communication by simulating reality in situations is unpredictability and in the various roles individuals play in their lives. In this sense, they bridge the gap between the classroom and the world outside the classroom.
Thank you. Number 5 and number 6, please, teacher Monse.
Here, there is only number 5.
Yeah, I will move in a moment the presentation to the next part.
Sorry, teacher. The hidden students self-esteem and improve their ability to work cooperatively.
Number 6.
They allow students to experiment and play with a language they have studied.
Thank you. Elvira, number 7 and number 8.
Okay. 7 and 8, okay. They provide one opportunity for practicing the rules of social behavior within another culture. And number 8, they engage the learner physically, and we know movement is good for language learners.
Thank you. Finally, teacher Itzel.
They can be liberating for students who may enjoy expressing themselves through a role or a mask, but maybe inhibited otherwise during class. They provide a context for understanding attitudes, expectations, and behaviors related to the target culture.
Okay, good job. Pay attention. The purpose for the training is to use role plays in your everyday class, as you have been using them, is to give you more ideas and to have possibilities, especially for those projects that you prepare normally by the end of the books. We are going to have an activity on March 21st in order to celebrate spring, the beginning of spring, in which students will have to prepare their role plays. In this case, we are talking not about the role plays that are improvised, but you have to make your students prepare their role plays to participate in a contest. Actually, you have done this job before. In Moon, Model of the United Nations is a big role play in which students represent each of them the character of delegate. That's something new for you. But now what you will be doing as well with your group of teachers in your school is to pass this information to them, give them the training. I will share the material that we used in this training, and even I will show more to you. Let me show you this material I have prepared for you so that you have more ideas. Check. This is what you will receive. Give me a second and I will share to you. Okay, I have here. Pay attention, all of these are files in Word documents that include a big variety of options, situations. In general, I prepare for you 70. They are in alphabetical order. Well, here you can see at, the preposition at, to check the situation. At the airport, at the bank, at the cinema, at the clothing store, at the doctor, at the restaurant, and you can find one more than one option. This material will help all of you to have more ideas in the preparation of your role plays. What do you think, teachers?
That's great, teacher.
That's really, really great.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
because sometimes we need ideas.
Yeah, yeah, you can see here, and we continue with the list. We continue with the list. In some of them, even you can find specific instructions, and in some others, only you find a guide. Let's open only one of them. For example, this one, at the airport. Booking a flight. Here you don't find the dialogues, but what you find is the guide to prepare the dialogues between the agent and the traveler. Then the instruction should be to give your students, in this case, this is the handout that we talk about in the preparation of the dialogues. You give this handout to your students, and number one, they begin the dialogue welcoming the customer, officer, and the traveler. Say thanks about it. Then the travel agent says to have 3 flights or 3 options. And then the traveler is asking for some specific, something direct. And the conversation should be based on this guide. Let me show you another that includes dialogues. For example, okay, at the doctors. Okay. For example, here, this handout is teaching students the question that the doctor should make. What's the matter or what's wrong? I have heard some teachers, some students who say, what do you have? This is a literal question that we use in Spanish, but when you want to ask for any medical situation, any problem in health, you never make that question. You ask what's wrong with you, what's wrong with your, for example, what's wrong with your shoulder? No, something special in your body. So in this case, as you can see, there is 1, 2, 3 possibilities of dialogues with a corresponding vocabulary.
Sorry, teacher.
You don't see the document?
No.
We can see the document.
You didn't tell me, teachers. I read just that. Let me share again. Sorry. You didn't tell me. Can you see the document now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, this is what I told you. At the doctor, the dialogues, 2 possibilities of dialogues, and the vocabulary you can make your students have. Obviously, you need to think of the grammar structures that you are covering in that specific unit or even in the book, and the level your students are in.
Yes,
Let me open another. I will open another. because in some others only you have the idea. This is good. Emergency services. I'll show to you. It says phoning an emergency. Here you have the instruction, and then you have the dialogues your students can use. Now, for example, here, the police ask, what's the problem? My house is on fire. What's your address? It could be really useful for those basic students who are learning how to give their address in English, or they are practicing with phone numbers. With numbers, or the grammar is there or are there. So it's a guide. Even you can give this part of the handout to your students to think of the possible questions they can include in their dialogues. And also, teachers, I have this material. Let me share to you. This is one more material that will help you in the preparation of your activity. I will share it. This is a PDF book. This is a complete book. It says role plays for today. And now this book is structured by topics, for example, services. In fact, we have a book. You should remember we have travel and leisure. Well, right now it is called real life situations. And here you can read specific situations. Let me make it bigger for you. Specific situations about services. Carlos, can you tell me the first one? 1A? Carlos?
Hello, teacher. Sorry, I was speaking with my microphone. Yes, it's Tourist Information Office, Assistant and Tourist.
The second?
Me?
Yeah, please.
Enrolling at a gym, fitness instructor, and new gym member. Post office, customer and post office cashier, visiting a doctor, patient and doctor in surgery, internet cafe, customer and cafe assistant.
That's it. Thank you, Carlos. It's only to prove that you could read this. You could see in my screen. And we have the second category that is shopping. And all of these are also mini situations. And we have one more category that is social life. And here you have all of the situations. Since it is a guide for teachers, let me move to one example. It can help you also in the preparation of your role plays. For example, here, because it is a guide for teachers in which I want you to consider that this material was not done by Conversa. That's why it doesn't include our method, but it includes ideas. This is what I want you to notice, that it includes ideas. It gives you how to prepare the activity, the instructions that you might give to your students, some advice, some suggestions, and then vocabulary, and now the specific situation and instruction that you can give to your students. Even as we watch in the first video, the vocabulary or expressions that your students might use. And then we have here the second one. What do you think, teachers? Do you think it will help you in the preparation of your role plays?
Yes, teacher, a lot.
A lot.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, finally, and I finished with this. I was showing videos from other schools in other places, but what about Conversa? What about the activities that our students are able to do? Check. This is a class that was given some years ago. Even here, Professor Victor, you might remember the facilities of this school. Can you watch my video? I think it's difficult only by the door and the walls. Well, we know that most of the facilities that we have are the same, but probably you remember these kind of colors in the door, this kind of color in the doors. Do you remember?
Kind of hard for remembering that might be Miramontes, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yes, it is Miramontes.
It was hard.
So you might remember when that school was opened many years ago. Okay, we're going to watch, the teacher here was giving a complete class, a complete class using our method, our methodology. And this is the conclusion of the class in the last step with the application activity. Pay attention. Even the teacher is using something that is important in the use of role plays, the clapperboard. But in those years, we didn't have the clapperboards that we have today, but she was using her own clapperboard. Let's watch this. It's only 4 minutes. This is a role play for improvisation. The students improvise the dialogues. Pay attention.
Good morning. Good morning. May I come in? Yes.
Let me.
How would you walk?
This moment.
Shaking hands. And the first questions. What are the first questions? Good morning. No. How are you? Hi. How are you? Okay. Hi. How are you? What else? How do you do today? How do you do today? The other one, did you? Conversa, take 3, action. Action. Good morning. Good morning. May I come in? Yes, come in. Thank you. Nice to meet you. My name is Bianca Robles. Nice to meet you. My name is Bianca Robles. Thank you.
Okay, Dennis. What did you write this witness?
Well, what do you mean by witness? Something that I'm not doing well or something that I'm trying to improve?
Okay, very good.
Something that you cannot do.
Maybe I'm not a good person being tolerant. Maybe I have to improve my acceptance of the errors of the people. But I'm improving that.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Why did you write this strength?
Excuse me. It's because I have a mistake. Could you please let me know what is your position? You tell me that your name is Simon, right?
Yeah.
And you are the manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the manager and she's the manager.
It's because I was
We
confused.
are manager, but of different areas.
Ah, perfect. Excuse me. And you are trying to ask me something, right?
Okay. Why did you write this strength?
I think that I'm organized.
Very organizing, you think?
Yes, wherever.
Okay. What motivates you?
Myself, I think that nobody else can motivate you. My first motivator is me.
I'm going to ask you something different. For you, what was your best boss and who was your worst boss?
That is a difficult question, Denise, because I think there is not a good or bad bosses, difficult or easy bosses. I think there are bosses with different personalities. And like an employee, you have to be prepared to work with different kind of person, not only bosses, but your employees too. Because I still was a boss 2 years ago when I left the company that I was working for. But I think wherever boss is good. It's difficult sometimes work with someone, but you can do that. I can do that. I think so.
Okay. Tell me, what have you been doing since your last job?
I was studying English at Conversa and taking care of my kids and doing many things at my home and handcrafts and a lot of things.
Okay, 2 years now. Well, tell me, during these 2 years, are you preparing or increased your knowledge about the job that you left?
Yes, I'm increasing because I'm taking some courses, sales courses, and I'm giving sales courses in my free time.
Okay, and tell me another one. What problems have you encountered at work?
Well, let me see. In my last job, I think the big problem was the marketing budget. Because if you don't have the marketing budget, you cannot increase your sales. And when the sales is not going well, of course, the marketing budget is not enough for doing many campaigns.
Okay, and tell me something more. Do you think that problem is?
Excuse me.
Do you think that problem is because of the company, or because a group of employees?
I think it's because many things. For example, one of them is economy. 2 years ago, with the problem with the United States, the investments were not enough to be doing business in Mexico. And sometimes it's because the sales companies that are so big, like Telmex, Pemex, and all those kind of things, were not investing in Mexico. And the sales go down, and we don't have the correct budget.
Okay, very well.
That's it for them. Very nice. Can you over wired? Let's start.
Sorry, I was opening my microphone and my camera. Well, conclusions. Since many years ago, we have worked with very good and effective role plays. This is the evidence. Teachers, don't forget that we have to continue working on this issue. And now you have more ideas. You have the good example with this video, but I'm sure that many of you have worked very well with your role plays. I'm sure this is not going to be the exception for the preparation in the following weeks, especially for the contest that I told you. We can have a contest even in an auditorium in which we can have our students perform as we normally do it with Moon. But if it is not possible because of the pandemic, we can do it in a virtual way. Or your students can prepare their videos. You can record the activity in your classroom, I mean in the facilities of the school. And at the end, we can see how much schools are advancing. Then you have 3 homework. Homework number 1, as I told you, is to think of the different possibilities for vocabulary and expressions for the situations that you previously discussed. Second homework is to give this information to your workmates, to the other teachers in the school. And number 3 is to start working not only with the role plays for March 21st, but the role plays that need to be applied every day in your classes, every day in the oral exams, and every book in the final projects. So you have too much to do. Any comment, teachers? Any comment? Was it useful? Do you like?
Yes.
Yes,
I like.
Professor Victor. Professor
Oh,
Victor wants to
just very fast. Oh, thank you very much, Mark. It was amazing. It was awesome training. I enjoyed it very much every step of the way. And I see that you teachers are excellent teachers. I was very surprised because sometimes due to my administrative tasks, I couldn't attend some trainings. It's hard, but I enjoyed very much. And I believe that you guys can do very well. And this training was for me, was like a reminder of all. I was very motivated to maybe can give some classes. It was very fun. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the comments, teacher. One more comment, the other teachers. Was it useful? Was it clear?
Yes, teacher. I would like to say something. I have been working here in Conversa for a long time, but every time you give us a training is amazing because we get more things that we can apply with our students. So this will be very useful for them. Thank you.
Thank you also. It helps me a lot to continue improving in the things that I have to give you. And the difficult part is coming. The difficult part is to make it better each day in our classes with our students, especially with these circumstances that we are living. I know that sometimes students don't attend classes in our facilities. They prefer the virtual class, the connection. And it's more difficult to have a connection, but I think little by little you are becoming expert on these issues. Any other comment?
Well, teacher, I like this training because although we think we know enough, but sometimes we learn more things that they make us understand that we can make better these steps, for example.
Okay, thank you, Elvira. Thank you very much. Okay, let's finish with our training. We have 2 hours and 16 minutes, but I think it was really useful. I'm going to share the material that I used, the PowerPoint presentation, the videos, and the books and the Word documents in the WhatsApp group so that you have all of this material and use it. Any question will be close to you to help you. Thank you very much. If you don't have any other comment, have an excellent night. Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, teacher. It was excellent. It was
Great.
good.
See you,
Bye,
teacher.
teachers. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye, teacher.
Bye-bye.